Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Let's call the City of Homestead Committee of the Whole meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, May 10th, 2022, and it is 5:30 p.m. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Fletcher. Councilwoman Bailey.
Here.
Councilwoman Faircloth Staggers.
Present.
Councilman Ross.
Here.
Vice Mayor Guzman.
Here.
Mayor Losner.
And I'm here. All right, we have before us for approval the April 12th, 2022 Committee of the Whole minutes. Moved by Councilman Fletcher. Seconded by Vice Mayor Guzman. Are there any further comments on the minutes? All in favor? Any opposed? Next item, tab 2, motion to place car number 3524 on the council agenda, the Cultural Affairs Cultural Facilities Program Grant Application. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. The Parks and Recreation Department is applying for a $500,000 grant from the Florida Division of Cultural Affairs for a new band shell and restrooms at the Homestead Sports Complex Park. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for the Florida Division of Cultural Affairs Cultural Facilities Program Grant in the amount of $500,000 for the Homestead Sports Complex band shell and restrooms located in the performance and event area of the park. This grant requires $1 million in matching funds, which will come from the funds spent for the architectural and engineering services for the park.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any questions or comments from council? Councilwoman Bailey.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one quick question. The band shell, what do we see happening there? Small concerts, announcements?
Yeah, exactly. If any events that we may have, musicians coming in, plays, performance art, things like that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Fletcher.
Yeah, just quickly, when will this grant be awarded if in the future? Do we know, is there a date certain that the state's going to award it?
This is one of the ones that is tied to the legislative session, so we'd be seeing the funds next year at about this time.
And I'm happy to report we've applied to this grant multiple times, and we have actually received the grant as well.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman Fletcher. Anything further? We have a motion to approve. Moved by Councilwoman Bailey, seconded by Councilman Fletcher. All in favor? Any opposed? And tab 3, motion to place car number 3519 on the council agenda, the downtown Homestead signage. Mr. Manager.
Mayor, at the September 13th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting, city staff presented the Downtown Homestead family of signs for consideration by the mayor and council. Taking into account the feedback received, staff moved forward to define a pilot area for the development of wayfinding and street signage. The pilot program includes 6 wayfinding directional signs, 3 wayfinding maps, and 19 street signs. A presentation of the pilot area overview and signage mock-ups are attached as Exhibit 1. Invitation to bid 2022-19 for downtown Homestead signage was released on March 18, 2022, and more than 106 vendors were contacted. Doral Digital Reprographics was the only responsive bidder. Please note that local vendors registered with the city were separately notified as part of this bid. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council authorize the city manager to award ITB 2022-19 to Doral Digital Reprographics in the amount of $92,311 for the downtown Homestead signage project, and we have a slideshow as well.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. As the manager just mentioned, we're here for you tonight to award the invitation to bid related to the Downtown Homestead sign plan. The slide before you right now, which is also included in your agenda packet, shows the pilot area. The 6 directional wayfinding signs are marked with the yellow dots. The 3 map wayfinding signs are marked with the blue dots, and the 19 street signs are marked with the orange dots at the intersections that they will serve. So now I'll take you through each of the different signage styles. And please keep in mind that these are all part of the Downtown Homestead brand, the Downtown Homestead logo, and colors that you have all previously seen. So this is the first, the wayfinding directional arrows. So last time you saw this in September, there was council buy-in around the frame style and the Downtown Homestead insignia. So you see here the signage mock-up. What's interesting about this is the graphic in the background is an image gradient that can be changed based on where you're directing. So the one in this mock-up is like our historic town hall. And you'll see here we did a single sign procurement at the corner of Campbell Drive and English Avenue. That actually has the City Hall in the background since we're directing towards the City Hall, Washington Avenue, and Miami-Dade College. What we did learn from doing this kind of one-off pilot sign, which is not part of this procurement before you tonight, is we do want to update the font size and contrast because the readability in the field just isn't quite there. And of course, if you all have any additional feedback regarding the sign panel, we can take that into account before moving forward with the installations. Next, you see here the map. This again carries that same style of frame, and each map would have its, own unique "you are here" identifier and show the different landmarks throughout the downtown. You see here the sample for the signature street signage. Again, this includes our Downtown Homestead insignia on the top of the pole and the different street signs. This here shows a green background mock-up that you saw last time. I know that there was not full consensus on whether green is the color we wanted to go with. So I do have here, there are 4 alternates. If you all want to opine on your preferences, I would like to go through 2 additional slides before we take that feedback, because I think there's a few questions that may come up that those slides will answer. So next we have here just a quick update on the iconic sign. This is not part of the procurement that you see before you tonight. This will be done on a separate invitation to bid. But this is our updated proposal for the DH iconic Downtown Homestead sign. Previously, this was from above, you saw it was a D, but now taking into account the location, we'd like this to go maybe in Losner Park in one of the open lawn areas. It's kind of morphed in shape so that it's more of a photo opportunity. And the idea is that this would be something that you could stand on, sit on, do whatever selfie that you want to do, and it becomes kind of an attraction. And next here we have the business signage. So the business signage, there was a lot of buy-in last time to move forward with some signature kind of historic style signs for the downtown. This will come back to you presented by the CRA. They're currently defining a pilot program, but it will also be tied to a larger discussion regarding the sign code, because we'll want to make sure that as we provide these signs to our local businesses, they are in compliance with our sign code, and our sign code is useful to businesses and to residents. So with that, I'll click back to the 4 new color options on the street signs and take any other questions or feedback you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Good. Are there any questions for Mr. Good before we dive into the color discussion? We want to welcome Councilwoman Avila to the meeting. Glad you're here for this charge. It's been a long agenda.
I have one
Yes,
that doesn't
Councilman Roth.
pertain to the colors and stuff. The interesting thing I heard was the bid process or the RFP process, that no one locally had shown any interest in this project. And I don't know if it's the way we're advertising or disseminating the information out to the local vendors. I know that there's 3 or 4 that are sign companies in the area. And it could be that they've missed that communication. I don't know how often they go out, but I find it hard to believe that out of the 3 or 4 that are local, they didn't even respond to this advertisement. So maybe we need to do a better job in reaching out to those that are either signed up or not signed up, that are local vendors, to figure out why they're not communicating with us. Is it a fear factor that they're not going to get the job regardless of what they bid? Or, we need to figure out what it is so that the local businesses aren't shy in responding to the RFPs and the opportunities that the city will give them. So just a thought on that part of it.
Councilman, if I may, it's our standard operating procedure with any formal bids that go out to notify the registered local vendors separately. Literally, they get a separate email from the city stating, hey, this bid is going out. In this case, I think part of the problem was this is a larger project than just signs, right? You got to install the frames, you got to build the frames, you got to do street poles and signage as well. And there's permitting involved with that as well. So I think maybe the scope of the project may have turned off some of the local signage folks, but I guarantee you that they do get notified. Now, and in addition to that, in terms of fear of being awarded, the city does have a 15% local vendor preference. So if any of the local vendors was within 15% of the lowest bid, literally the city would go to them and say, listen, if you match the lowest bid, this job is yours. And the local vendors are made aware of that.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Fletcher.
Yeah, a couple quick questions. First off, this doesn't take into account the conversation that we had in the workshop about the potentially expanding of downtown Homestead. So we need to, look at that as well, because if we're going to have another workshop to have that discussion, there's going to be many more signs that are going to be required if we do that expansion of the downtown Homestead area.
Yes. And just, this is the pilot program, and the intent is that we could expand this out, throughout the downtown, and even, look at a signature sign that may be slightly different for the, entire city.
Okay, and secondly, we need to make sure that we have a good maintenance or replacement schedule for these, because with the South Florida elements, they tend to go away pretty quickly, and we want signs that are legible and not a hindrance to what we're trying to make it do look better. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councilman. Once again, I want to join in that. I noticed that, we have, through that workshop process, actually defined what we're going to discuss in terms of downtown Homestead from this point forward. And I get this is a core pilot project, and these street signs are far more expensive than I had anticipated they would be. But I would think that as, if we go forward with this, in phases, we would clearly help designate our defined downtown Homestead with this style of signage if this goes forward.
Mr. Mayor?
Vice Mayor.
I would eventually like to see the entire city have similar signs. I think we talked about this before, so that people, when they get to not only downtown, to distinguish that they're in downtown, but ultimately when you get to the city of Homestead, you'll know that you're in city of Homestead, apart from Florida City and apart from unincorporated Dade County. So if we were thinking long-term, we've got the ability to choose the same colors or decide to choose a different color for the rest of the city if we wanted to maintain downtown separate, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And those cool squiggly designs that are on there, when I buy outdoor furniture from Lowe's or Home Depot, it lasts about a year before it starts to get a little wilted and a little distorted. Do we just ask the vendor to come replace the sign frame, or do we handle that afterwards?
So as far as the frames, those would be, if it's something simple like a paint job, that's something that we could accomplish in-house. But for the sign panels, if we needed to reprint a sticker, we could go back to the vendor and have them do that. It's my hope that we're getting a high-quality product that will last more than the patio furniture from Lowe's. But that's definitely something that we'll keep in mind as we, keep our eyes out on maintenance issues.
And what is the relationship that we have with Miami-Dade County when it comes to signs? If we decide that we wanted to cover the entire city with our own signs, do we then manage and maintain our signs, and that burden is now ours, not Miami-Dade's?
Vice Mayor, yes, we would be responsible for the signage at that point, but that's a decision the council would have to make if that's something they would like to do.
So the signs that go bad now, does the city of Homestead, are they identified so that we can kind of have a number or a figure as to what it would cost for us to maintain them? Like, how often do signs go bad?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Let's say, right now, Miami-Dade County, if a sign is damaged, Miami-Dade, we call, or the resident calls Miami-Dade County. City of Homestead typically isn't told, or they're not identified, right?
That is correct.
We wouldn't know how many signs go bad throughout a year.
No.
So we wouldn't be able to kind of, if we decided to take over the signs for the whole city, we don't know what that figure would be.
I mean, we could check with the county and see what their budget is allocated for our area. I don't know if they can refine it to the city limits, but that's something definitely, if we decide to do the whole city, whether it's with this signage or different signage, we would obviously reach out to the county to get a cost estimate of what that would entail, right? At that point, we would know what the cost of the new signage would be, the signage we prefer, and then we'd have to do our cost-benefit analysis to at least give council a good gauge of what it would cost us to take over the signs ourselves. In addition to that, that would include the crews going out and actually changing the signage, any signage that gets broken, because you're right, Vice Mayor, right now a sign goes down, a stop sign, a street sign goes down, we notify the county, and it's their responsibility to go ahead and fix that sign. We cannot fix that sign because if we do, then we take upon the liability if something, the sign's not put up properly, falls down, somebody has a car accident, then the liability falls upon the city at that point.
Well, since we're on the sign topic, I'd love to see what the cost analysis is so that we could plan accordingly in the future. Maybe not now, but at least we can kind of start gauging how we're going to implement this in phases since we already have the numbers.
And believe it or not, the mayor asked for that specifically as well. So we're already on track during the research.
Hey, Vice Mayor. Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mayor. With regards to the design of the signs, are we putting our logo on the sign as well? The street
Yes,
signs?
it has the Downtown Homestead logo on the top, and they all say Downtown Homestead as far as the directional signage.
Right, these.
But these are the street signs, so it will not include a logo. It'll just include the street name. But if we go back, you see here it has the Downtown Homestead logo insignia on the top of the pole.
Okay, and is there a huge cost difference to actually have our City of Homestead logo? I guess that would make more sense if we go citywide with the signs.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
something?
I would have to, speak with the vendor, but I don't imagine there's a big difference changing the logo. Obviously, we're looking at defining the downtown with a downtown sign.
Okay, and then with regards to the proposal, the iconic DH, picturesque sign, was that included in this $92,000 price?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
That's
and-
just for your information.
Yeah, that would come back separately to council.
Okay, so when this went out for RFP, our local vendors they weren't tasked with providing pricing for that as well? It was
No.
just for these signs? Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah, I did run into a sign vendor, this past Friday for my spouse appreciation brunch that I had. And he mentioned that one of the challenges that they have with answering RFPs is the process to fill out all the paperwork. Is our process different compared to other county processes or other municipalities?
No, we follow standard procurement procedures that is certified by the state. Now, I would not mind, neither would the Director of Procurement, sitting down with this vendor and kind of going through what his concerns are. And something to keep in mind here, Councilwoman, and the rest of council as well, our local vendors can reach out to procurement anytime. We answer the phone. If they have questions or concerns about a bid package that went out, we are more than happy to sit down with them and explain what the process is. We have done vendor fairs and things of that nature to have the vendors come in and talk to procurement and learn about our processes. So we do communicate with them a lot of the time. So I wouldn't mind speaking to this particular vendor about his concerns. But once again, I think the scope of this project might have been just too much for a lot of them.
Okay. I'm of the same opinion with regards to making it go citywide, hopefully at one point. We need to do our homework on that so we can properly budget. Also agreeing with Councilman Fletcher, we have to make sure we're putting these downtown signs in all of our downtown, whatever it is that we agreed to call it. And are we picking color choices tonight? Is that what we're doing? Well,
Hopefully.
I'm in the blue zone. That's where I'm going with my color choices, so that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. So would the sign that's out by the post office be a good representation, to the Vice Mayor's point, as to the weight and quality of the frame?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the vendor for that sign is this proposed vendor? Is that correct?
Yes, they responded to that original one-off, and they are also the responsive vendor here.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Fletcher.
I would just like to caution everybody, if we decide to do this citywide, again, the costs are going to go up tremendously. I can tell you that I've seen probably 15 to 20 signs that are maintained by the county that get continuously run over by vehicles or damaged in vehicle accidents, a lot out by the Speedway area alone. And then there's some liability that comes along with that when the city puts their name on it as well. So we need to really look hard at that before we decide to jump all in. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. And as the manager said, I've been having discussions about, helping create this sense of place, and in talking to Mayors Corradino and Cunningham, where in their cities they have that, and it's talk about just how folks are so enthused about that it like the little monument signs in Coral Gables, like it or not, it creates a sense of place. You are there. They're unique. They're different, and I kind of envision, doing this over many years and phasing, perhaps starting with our main east-west and north-south thoroughfares, as well as our border streets, and but certainly with our eyes open as to what that would cost. I would not to get too far out in the weeds, but let's say if the county spends $100,000 a year replacing standard signage in Homestead, I'm not willing to strike a deal where we let them off the hook for that. There's got to be that buy-in. I mean, we would be going the extra mile to pay that differential, but certainly not to release them in full from that liability. I look forward to that, and I think what we're trying to do here is clearly define the downtown with one style and spread outward to the rest of the city someday with a more consistent style that would have either the city seal or some sort of agreed on logo. Again, for reasons stated back in September, I'm not down with the DH logo. I'll never look at it any other way than that. And got to say it, the monument sign, I can just see it. Hashtag, I'm a DH, and people standing next to that, it's okay, you can laugh. I'll be the first one there to do that. But look, if everybody else is good with this modernized DH, we'll go with that. So I think it's time to move to the color discussion. So let me start to my far right and put Mr. Roth on the spot.
Thank you. Yeah, before we get there, the to remap the city as far as signage goes, what signs are we talking about? We talking about every street sign, every directional sign, and every identifying type sign? Is that what we're talking about? Or
I envision street name signage.
so like Northwest 15th Street and 3rd Avenue would have one of these specific signs on it?
Well, a Homestead unique sign, whether it be this or something, some other design, yes.
Because at this point, the county takes care of all of those signs, right? If a directional
Correct.
sign goes down, they take care of that.
That is correct.
So we would be taking on that burden of every single street and every single sign in the city of Homestead.
Yes, Councilman, but remember, right now, we're just worried about the downtown.
I understand
Oh, okay.
that. I understand that. I understand. We're not going to change that next week. I get that, because the Villages has a very specific type of signage they use out there. So you'd have to convince them to go to a different signage. They're responsible for every one of those directional signs out there, and I'm sure some of the HOAs in the east side have their own signage as well. So, there's a lot of different things to think
But
about.
we're not talking about gated communities, we're talking about, at this point, potentially,
Yeah.
the border roads and the main thoroughfares, not every side street for street names.
Yeah, because that could be awfully,
Yeah.
awfully crazy. So, since we're talking about colors now, these are the four choices we have?
These are the four new choices, and then you have the green that you've previously seen.
Gotcha. So, if we go with one of the 5 colors, would that also be the color for the bigger signs that are directional signs to City Hall, to downtown Homestead? Would it be the
so-
same color?
As far as the directional sign, we were thinking to keep the orange that you've seen, unless there's a buy-in that you all don't like the orange, and then we certainly go to blue, green, whatever you prefer.
I'm not a big fan of orange to begin with, and I think if you're going to be consistent with signage, you would use the same color on both. That's just my personal opinion. And I prefer green, because green is a sign of, well, it's a smart, it's an intelligent color. It's environmentally friendly. It's green. That would be my choice. The green, as the mayor said, is the color of money, but it's also the sign of intelligence. But I really think if we're gonna brand the colors, it has to be the same on the big signs and the small signs. So, just my 2 cents.
Thank you, and to that point, we already have trolley stop signs and park signs that are done in that green family, and, my concern would be is that we would have too much going on to go out into other color families. While I like blue signs, I think, we already have a pretty extensive network of customized city green signs, and that's where my thought would be in the process of color choices. Councilman Fletcher?
Yeah, so I'm in the same mindset with the green signs, but I also had the thought process, these have to be reflective at some point, and maybe having an alternate sign for north-south and then one for east-west, maybe a different color scheme for north-south signs and east-west. Just a thought, but, I'm more favorable towards the green side of the signs to begin with.
Thank you. Now, let me ask you, Mr. Good, the frames are denoted in black, and that would be the standard frame color?
Yes, sir.
Under any color choice for signage?
Yes, sir.
Would be that, okay. Including the poles for the street signs? All
Yes,
right.
that's correct.
Councilwoman?
Thank you. So I think we have plenty of green between the palm trees and the bushes and the big trees. I'd like to see something that stands out, that catches your eye, that promotes a local business, promotes the street name. I mean, Councilman Fletcher's shirt stands out, Mayor's tie stands out, and my blue shirt, I think, stands out. So I really think we should consider blue. Green is beautiful. I love the color green as well. I use it in my business. But it's also the color of the county signs, and as I mentioned, we use it a lot already, and it blends in. So I'll go with the majority, but I'll be voting for blue tonight.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
I like orange. I like the one that's out there. But I just want a sense of, I want the city of Homestead to be unique. I'm good with the consensus. I mean, the color doesn't mean as much to me, just as long as it's different, in my opinion. But if you're going to ask me, I like the one driving up English Avenue. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you. All right, Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mayor. I love green as well, but if we are revamping things and giving some new life to the downtown, I love the orange and the blue together. So if we could do the directional signs in orange how you have it, and the street ones in blue, I do think that would, not stand out going down historic downtown. It wouldn't stand out as much as the orange, but it would pop against all the green with the trees. So my vote would be for the street signs. And just two quick things I didn't have a chance to say before. As we discuss this pilot program growing, I would really love everyone to consider that we look at Historic Southwest first, just because if we are encouraging others to find out more about Homestead, then we have some really great places to discuss in the Southwest. And then lastly, I think I spoke to Pedro about this before. I love that DH sign with that kids could crawl in it and you take pictures. I might have mentioned at a meeting as well that we went once in Georgia and they had these selfie poles that you just texted a number to. I just think that's so neat. It saves on paper. I think it's just kind of, something unique. And so if that's an option that we could do around there, to not forget about that. So my vote would be blue. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here. I just have about two questions. Will these signs, particularly the iconic sign, will they have some type of uplighting or illumination so that you can see them at night?
The iconic sign is proposed with, with lighting, and that's how we would go out and procure it. These signs will be, just traditional kind of wayfinding and street signs that are reflective at night, but that don't have their own illumination.
Okay, that was my next question. If there weren't any illumination, will they have some type of reflective material so that you can see it at night?
Yes, that's correct.
As for the color scheme, I think we need something that stands out a bit. I understand your concern, Mayor, with being a little too much and we're all over the place with the colors. But I think the green will be a bit muted because that's kind of more of the same in the downtown. So I'm leaning more towards the orange. First choice, and then blue. Second choice.
To clarify, is that orange for the street signage as well as the directional signage?
Orange for the street signage, and then the blue for the directional signage.
Oh, okay. A new combo. Go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's all I have.
All right. So, what do we think? Do we need to bifurcate the directional from the street signage?
I'm good with the consensus.
I don't know I don't know there is a consensus.
Can we see the DH logo?
Someone wants to throw a motion out there?
Well, wait. We're going to go back to the DH logo. Zach's going to bring that up for us.
Sorry, the iconic sign? Okay.
Which is really just in front of us for informational tonight. We are
Correct.
not making any decision on that. Sure.
Thank you, Mayor. So the actual DH logo, is that how it is with yellow, the teal, and orange?
There's two color variations. There's the one you see here, and there's another that includes
The darker purple.
the darker, yes.
Or darker blue. So I think depending on which logo we're going with, that those should be at least the only two variations of colors that we choose the signs from. That would be my opinion. So then we're only dealing with 2 to 3 colors, and it's not a different, so depending on which one of these signs we go with, then I think that those should be the only options that we consider for the signage. Does that make sense?
It does. So let me ask you, Mr. Good, is blue alternative number 3 supposedly the same blue, pastel blue that's on the big iconic sign?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then, if you can go back to the iconic. So then that would be, what, alternatives 2 and 3 would be the closest match? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So then, so if alternatives 2 and 3 are most closely aligned with the future iconic sign, then, is it your suggestion then, Councilwoman Bailey, that the directional signage be orange number 2 and the street signage be done in the lighter blue as alternative 3? Kind of mimic the future iconic sign?
Is the current sign that was just installed 1 or 2?
The current sign is
1, right? It
one,
doesn't have the
and
yellow.
to clarify, the only difference is that it has the white detail rather than the yellow detail.
Oh, are the 2 oranges the same?
Yes.
They are. Wow, the yellow really makes it look
Punk.
different. I'm ambivalent as to whether it's yellow or white.
So personally, I would like to see the iconic be 2 and 4, not 2 and 3. I think 2 and 4 pop so much better. Some detail of 3 in there, but
Well,
I think that would be too light. That light teal for a street sign, I don't think that's going to pop enough.
I agree. And if we choose 2 and 4 tonight to go forward, those can be implemented in the iconic sign later.
That would
Yes.
be my
So
vote.
two with the yellow trim would be directional signage, and alternative 4 with the blue trim, with the paler blue trim would be for street signage. Is that your motion?
Unless anybody is very against it, I think that would
Well,
look
let
really
them
nice.
amend it.
I would like to make a motion, thank you.
Second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that alternative 2 be selected as the directional signage, and alternative 4 is utilized as the street signage for the core downtown. Now, let me ask one more question, not to put another fly in the ointment. You had a different color for the maps. I think by necessity, the lighter color, as you showed in the map sign, that's not within this palette of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Correct. The map shown here has a yellow background.
It just is what it is.
it
There's
just
only
is what
like
it is.
3 or 4 of those.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on the motion?
No, I'm good.
All right, so I guess we need to do a roll call on this one to move it forward. We have a motion and a second for the choice of downtown signage colors. Let's have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Fletcher? Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilwoman Avila? Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Guzman?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes,
The motion carries.
thank you. Sure, can we get Mr. Kraft a microphone? Hopefully you won't use it all, but we've got to keep you and everybody else to the 3-minute rule.
I just want to ask, what material are they made of? Are they engraved, or is it cast iron, or is it plastic, or some kind of alcohol, or what material are they made of? And also, how doable are they with the sun? Because the sun kills everything.
You good?
Yes. So these signs are all to be an aluminum alloy as the frame and, I guess, underlayment of the sign panel. And then on top is a vinyl sticker that can be easily replaced as needed, and we're hoping will be a very durable product.
Thank you. All right. And, you know, I know we've had the discussions about the scale of the font on the prototype sign. I hope that on the street signs and on the remaining signs, we can get that adjustment made.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Anything further, Mr. Manager?
Nothing from us, Mayor.
Oh, well, I guess we need to vote to award the bid. That would probably
You're
help.
absolutely correct.
All right, do we have a motion to approve, to place this bid on the council agenda?
I'll move it. And can I just suggest that we can see one of those street signs before the font is finalized as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course.
Fantastic.
Yes, thank you. I had asked for samples. Before we go to full production, absolutely. Yeah. All right, so did you move the acceptance of the bid, seconded by Councilwoman Avila? Do we have any discussion before we vote on moving the bid to the council agenda? So roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Councilwoman Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Fletcher? Vice Mayor Guzman?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes, with the caveat that as we bid out future signs, I really want to make sure that our locals are able to participate. It's a significant amount of money right here in the hometown.
Absolutely, Mayor. We'll make sure.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Manager, anything further?
Not from the manager's office, no, sir.
Mr. Attorney?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have to request a couple of executive sessions. One in the matter of Donate v. City of Homestead, case number 1702-0561. Miranda v. City of Homestead, case number 21-006350. And Tillery v. City of Homestead, case number 21-013373, all in Circuit Court of Miami-Dade County.
Sorry, thank you, Mayor. I want to just give a quick recognition to all the women who are being honored by the various local organizations here in Homestead at the 2022 Trailblazers Women of the Year event this weekend at the Women's Club of Homestead. So I just wanted to say that before we adjourn. Thank you.